Well, hello, furniture people. I'm Joe and I like refinishing old furniture. Somehow I decided it would be a good idea to film that and share it. So here we are, turning grit into gold. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Doing so allows me to continue sharing interesting projects like this one with you. So again, this is a restore find a few weeks ago, and you saw Eddie a moment ago, and again, he's sinking his teeth into his own project. And this is a desk, and it looks like a piano or an organ. Um, when I first approached it in the restore, that's really what I thought it was. And then I opened the sort of trifold top and realized that, as I looked at it, that this is a desk. Not much in the way of maker marks. A couple of the top pieces are stamped 149, 149. And if you go to the first video in this series, you'll be able to see that more. I'll post a link in the description. And so I disassembled the entire piece, leaving essentially the pedestal and the pedestals and the structure together. And this is, I guess I would call this the middle part of the trifold top. And obviously it's got a crack in it here, and I'm doing some repair work before I've even sanded it with some glue, pushing it into the crack there, and then clamping it to secure it. Then I let it dry for about a day before I take it off and sand it down. And this is, as old furniture pieces go, fairly complicated. The trifold top involves a half a dozen hinges of two different sizes, and you'll see those as we're going through. I pulled the hinges off. I'm going to use new screws for them, but reuse the hinges, polished them up, cleaned them up. Uh, they're in excellent condition overall and very pretty. Uh, and so the hardware is what hardware there is very nice. And there's a lock on this desk, small lock, and it has what is essentially a triangular key set. And you can see that's where I'm putting the WD-40 right now. That little hole in the lock, two screws, and it popped right out. I oiled it up, and no key came with the desk, although I have a wonderful solution to that. That again, you'll see later, not in this video, but probably part 3 of this series. And I'm a little bit out of frame there, but again, using some WD-40 to lubricate the lock. And now I'm a little bit better with my framing. And I haven't made a key yet, but again, that triangular set, my needle nose pliers fit in there fine. And you can see the lock mechanism turns and it operates just fine. When I did turn it, it felt a little bit gritty. So extra WD-40 never hurt anyone. This is the bottom part of the a top piece of the trifold. This is the one part, it's mounted to the rest of the desk, and you can see those two lines, and then something was pried out of there. And what I'm doing is repairing this now and putting some glue into the piece, pushing it down, oops, and putting the little bits back in. But there was something mounted here. You can see the straight lines, little part of one of them there to the right of my hand. There's one over to the left. There were tiny little tacks in there. There was a plate or something that was in there. To make those lines, it would have been rigid. It would have been a piece of metal, something commemorating what this piece was, what it was used for, how it was used, who it was made for, something like that. And the piece that I'm moving around now, I'll refer to that as the middle piece of the trifold top. As you're watching this, the YouTube channel that I'm working on, this is not yet a monetized channel, and I'm hoping to get it there. Um, hasn't happened quite yet. And hence, one of the realities of this is the videos are limited to 15 minutes. Once you are a monetized channel, you can make them of any length you want. Um, so at this point, and you can see here, I've sped the video up a little bit. I do this periodically to fit the content in within the time limitations, which is what I'm doing here. But the whole piece sanded down very nicely. In the first video you saw, I did a lead-based paint test. Although there's some disagreement online in the comments about whether or not this was necessary. But again, it's a $5 test and I'm not going to take chances. And the results are immediate. There's no turnaround time. And this would be what I would call the front or the first piece of the trifold top. This is the part that to me looks the most like a coffin. But the whole piece sanded up very easily, relatively light grit, 220s and 320s generally is what I was using. And the varnish, the finish, whatever was on there, generally speaking, came right off. I had to work a little harder at some of the stains that were on the top piece, but this portion was fine. And the curved pieces, I like to use a sponge wrapped in some sandpaper, and it came right down. And to get into those narrow parts, I usually take a piece of sandpaper and fold it in half, or maybe by fours, and then run it through the edges. That does a pretty good job of, again, removing residual varnish or stain or whatever's in there. This is one of the things that disturbs me as I worked on this. I sanded part of it, walked away, that handprint appeared. I stepped away for a little bit to do this, and when I came back, that handprint was gone. I'm not a very spiritual person, so maybe somebody can help me understand this in the comments. I was very excited though to begin working on a desktop portion of this. And even here, prior to the sanding, you can see sort of the tiger striping in the wood that was used for this. And final result is really very spectacular. And this part sanded down again relatively easily, just like the rest of it. I do some detail work and then come around on the edges, but it all came out just fine. With that little jump cut there, it's likely that I just replace the piece of sandpaper on the orbital. Stay safe and healthy, everyone, and I will see you in part 3.